Today we're going to talk about homemade trig tables. Let's go ahead and read through this first paragraph. It says the trigonometric functions are defined as ratios of the certain side lengths of right triangles. I'm going to circle that because it's really important. One way to understand how these functions work is to draw the triangles, measure the sides, and find the ratios of side lengths. We're going to actually do that today, but before we do that, I'm going to have us kind of understand what the three trig functions are that we're going to be learning about. So there's going to be two different choices. We're going to choose an acute angle at which to stand. You're going to put a tick mark there, and then you're going to label each side with either opposite, hypotenuse, or adjacent. This part is really important because we'll do that for every single problem. So notice these are the two of the same right triangle. Since we're choosing an acute angle, I'm going to put an X at the right angle since that's not something I can actually choose. So choice one, there's either a choice of this angle up here or an angle down here. So I'm going to just choose the top angle for the first one. I'm putting in a theta here. That's a Greek symbol that usually represents a missing angle. It's basically like a zero with a horizontal line through it. And then this is going to be my choice two. So if I choose this one up here versus this one down here, those are two different choices for the same triangle. So when you're looking at a triangle that is a right triangle, you should be able to pick out the hypotenuse. So here's a 90-degree angle. It's pointing towards the hypotenuse. So that's what this one over here is. Now in choice one, I now have the opposite and the adjacent that I need to label. So if you're standing here at theta, imagine like facing the triangle. The opposite side of you is going to be this one on the bottom. So I'm going to label this to be opposite and this to be adjacent. Oops, adjacent. It's supposed to be a D. So the next triangle, here's choice number two. The hypotenuse is not actually going to change because you still have the right angle down here and it's still pointing over here. So here's my hypotenuse. I'm going to label it like that. My theta, because it's now over here, if I were to pretend standing here, my opposite side actually is going to be this one now. So I'm going to put opposite here and adjacent here. So that's like the first step to understanding trig functions, is being able to label your triangles. The three main trig functions are these ones down here. It looks like sin, it looks like cos, and it looks like tan, but I want you to say it like sine. That's actually the real word that it's abbreviated for. This one is cosine, and then this one is tangent. So whenever you read it, you'll say sine of, and then this says theta. This one says cosine of and theta. This is tangent of theta. Each of these asks you to use a different ratio of side lengths in a right triangle. So sine of theta asks you to take the opposite side and divide it by the hypotenuse. I'm going to use the abbreviated ones. The cosine asks you to use the ratio of the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. And the tangent one asks you to find the ratio of the opposite side over the adjacent side. So that's just the general gist of, I guess, beginning trig functions and knowing the difference between the three.